We dance as the city roars. Tune in loud, turn up some more. Cincinnati show, it's time to play. Sports with strawberry ice today. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ices on the mic, energy, it's pure delight. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Feel the crowd, it's electric now. Shouting loud, they all know how. The CTV got what we crave. Sports with ice, it's waves and waves. Tigers strike and Bengals roar. Every game we want some more. Tune it in and feel the thrill. Strawberry ice, he's giving chills. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's pure delight.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole, and as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And I'm coming to you live from the Ice Cave. And the Ice Cave, as always, is brought to you by Priority Lawn and Landscaping. I know you guys like ice. It's snowing outside. Why are you talking about lawn and landscaping? Well, if you don't want to remove your snow because it just seems like it's not going to stop, you can get Priority Lawn and Landscaping a call. But if you have future plans to not want to cut your grass or not want to clean your flower beds out, or you got a landscaping project that you want to get done, but you just don't have time to do it, or you need some ideas, get Priority Lawn and Landscaping a call at 513-430-6114. That's 513-430-6114. You can also follow them on Facebook. What is up to everybody in the chat? Let's see. You guys are blowing it up. I love it. Let's see. We got Brad's in there first. And Paul Painter. Strangers in there. T. Brookie's in there. Mike Madden. Robert. My boy Chandler. And Ryan Sparks. What is going on, guys? Welcome to the show. All right. We're going to talk some Bengals and some NFL draft here. What are the Bengals going to do at 17? They got to trade up. They got to trade down. Offensive line, defensive line. Where are they at in the second round? So let's get to that. But tonight, my Bearcats are playing West Virginia. I don't know about you guys. I got a good feeling about this. I think they played better against Iowa State. Not good enough to win. If they can play like they did against Iowa State throughout the entire game versus West Virginia, I think it's going to be a dub. We'll see what happens. Reds, spring training is on their way. First game is this Saturday. I cannot wait. I'm hoping to watch it on TV. I'm going to at least listen to it on the radio. We'll see what happens. Like I said before, I think Terry Francona at least gives you an extra 10 wins. But that's not what you guys are here for. You guys are here for hard-hitting content on draft. And, you know, I mean, I know a little bit about the draft. I mean, I rely on Dale, Bengals Brews, and the guys from Gridiron Grading to educate me on what the Bengals might do, needs, wants, you know, what's going on. Anyway, let's get to Ryan and Andrew from Gridiron Grading. What's up, boys?
What's going on, Jeff? Good to be back.
Yeah, long time no see. Like we said, we're in the off the air here. I missed you guys. How's everything been going?
It's been a busy off season to start for the both of us, but we're excited to be back. We're happy to spend this time with you and everyone in the chat. So we're just looking forward to talk some draft.
Exactly.
Weren't expecting to be picking this high, though.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to be picking 32.
Yeah, I was hoping so. That's the thing. Harris is on here saying Gridiron Grind is not a fan account. No, you guys actually know what the hell you're talking about. You're pretty.
We are fans, though.
We are fans, though. Yes, you are fans. Now real quick, Ryan, I know we talked off air, and for all of us in Ohio here, we're like, holy crap, we got so much snow. I'm tired of it snowing. You're in Toronto. How much snow do you have there right now?
Gosh, looking outside, I think we're talking from anywhere from 1.5 feet to 2.5 feet, depending on those snowbanks. So it's been a tough day to sort of trek through all that snow, but this is what you get for living up north.
Oh, dude. You made me feel a lot better now. How's everybody hanging down there in Tennessee, Andrew? You guys doing all right down there?
We're doing okay. We got like 3 inches and everybody cleared out of the roads. So it's free, kind of like Ohio, I think.
Yeah,
Haven't figured it out.
That's the best thing is when people just decide not to drive because, people in Ohio, we freak out when it snows. And there's some people like, oh, you can drive just like you normally do. And they spin out. And then there's other people who drive like it's black ice every single where and they're driving around with hazards on. I'm like, dude, just get out of my way. Yeah, it's like, I'll never forget. I went down to Atlanta one time and it's pouring down rain. And I saw somebody in the rain, in the fast lane, going slow with their hazards on. I'm like, you're on the highway. Why do you have your hazards on? Yeah, we can see it's raining. It's
a well-known story. As somebody who lived there for 4 years, they tell tales about the snowstorm from 4 years ago.
Dude, it snowed in Florida this year. Like, what the hell's going on? Anyway, you guys did not come here. You guys did not come here for weather, that's for sure. But all right, let's go. Let's start off this way. At 17, like you said, we all thought we'd be drafted later at 32, which that's going to happen next year. We're going to sign T, sign Trey, sign Jamar, all that, and hit this draft out of the park. But with that being said, what do you think the Bengals' strategy and needs are going into this draft at 17?
I think a lot of people, we just watched the Eagles do what they did, win the Super Bowl, and I think a lot of people are going to say you can't do what the Eagles did. I disagree. I think teams can implement it. I would love to see the Bengals take a BPA approach this year. There are obviously needs, but can we find some way to draft these fallers, some way to combine production, athleticism, best player on the board? That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'd be excited by. I don't know about you, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm going to echo what Andrew said. I'm sure we'll talk about it later today, but free agency is where you fill your holes, and the draft is where you get the chance to really take those dart throws and find someone that was an absolute monster in college, great production, great athleticism. So if there's someone that is a true star talent that we thought would go in the first 8 picks that's on the board at 17, if they happen to be a defensive lineman, that's lovely. Love to match up the need and the value there. But we're really just hoping that the team takes someone that can have an instant impact, and hopefully that doesn't have to be a need.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the way it's set up here, unless they sign some big free agents, they're probably going to have to draft for need. We need an edge. We need a 3-tech, and we need a couple guards at least. With that being said, this draft is lined out. Defense. You guys said this on my tweet earlier. Lined out with the defensive side of the ball, the defensive line, pretty well. So there's a very good chance, in my opinion, and that's what I'm asking you guys, that we could get an impact player at 17.
Yeah, 100%. Ryan and I were talking about this earlier. I think everybody says interior defensive line, that's the need. I think we disagree. I think pass rush is the need.
Yes,
how can they find another
pass rusher? Yeah,
and so that includes edge, and I think they're set up really well where I feel pretty confident that the best player available on the board at 17, probably at 49 too, is going to be a pass rusher or at least a defensive lineman. This is the best edge class we've seen in a while. There's 3 or 4 sitting at the top of the board that look like they're going to be impact players pretty early. And then obviously we have the interior defensive lineman as well. So I think there's a real scenario, and probably the most, likely to happen scenario is one where it's going to be a pass rusher that's sitting there at 17. And now are they going to be willing to make that pick even if it doesn't fit all of their historical thresholds? And that's where you get worried. You hope that they're going to make that change. So that's what I'm thinking. And I think there will be a way to match need. Throw out a few names here. I think Mike Green from Marshall, he stands out. James Pierce from Tennessee, there's a lot of conversation on him right now. I would make that pick in a heartbeat. I think he's going to be an awesome player. Walter Nolan, another one, a defensive tackle that'll be sitting there. I don't know, Ryan, any other names pop up for you there?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not at 17 or 49, but Andrew and I did some work on interior defensive linemen earlier in the year, and you have plenty of talent and depth all throughout the board. So whether that's a Thor Griffith later in the draft, or I know some people have different thoughts about this fella, but Dayon Walker out of Kentucky is a name that's generated a lot of buzz, good and bad, depending on the communities that you're in. And then if you're looking for just a stud pass rusher, Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee is a guy that has had a limited snap count in his career, and call that a knock. It is what it is, but he can get after the quarterback. So I think we must have named Andrew maybe about 8 or so guys. And looking
Hey, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
There's so many. There's tons of pass rush sitting on the board this year, and that's where they need to be focusing these defensive line picks. If we come out of this draft and when they don't have a pick that's high in pass rushing production, is what we call it, I think I'll be really disappointed. They need to go that route.
They need to go that route. That's, to me, I know the interior offensive line is a big thing too, and we got to protect Joe, which I completely agree. But there's so many impact guys, I think, in this draft that you can't pass one up at 17 because the impact might not be there at 49. You might be able to get it at guard here. Actually, I hear in a second. Let me get this $2 super chat. Appreciate you, Fuzzy Balls. Says, if we trade Trey, could we package that and move up? It depends on who you're trading to. Trey's 30. Maybe I'm not. That's a good question. If they can move up, I don't know if they can move up or not. They might have to add something to that just because of his age. What's you guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, I think they definitely could. I wouldn't do that though.
I wouldn't.
For a team that already has only one pass rusher, I'm not dying to get rid of the one they do have.
I couldn't have said it any better than that, Andrew. That's where I'm like, we got one guy. I don't care how old he is. we
could talk about the same conversation with Higgins, and that goes outside of the draft. But you create that hole, you're trusting him to fill it in the draft. I don't feel great about that right now.
Right. That's where I'm like, we got this offense is so good. Like, why take a piece away from the offense that's good that you have to go fix? It ain't broke. Don't fix it. You got to fix the defense and the guards. We know that. Just keep it to that. It's kind of where I'm at. But speaking of guards, let's just say they do go ahead and draft Grant or Nolan or one of those guys at 17. At 49, can we get a guard there that could potentially be our guard of the future? Could it be a plug and play there, or are they more potential future starters? Or is anybody in there right now? You guys say at 49.
Yeah. 49 is a tough spot based on the analysis we've done so far. I think there are a lot of popular names like a Donovan Jackson out of Ohio State, for example, who seems to be a pretty popular name penciled in at 49 for mock drafts. And what we've seen on tape is he's an incredible player, but just taking a deeper dive at the numbers, he's someone that Andrew and I aren't as high on in the grand scheme of things. I think there are a couple names that we've highlighted maybe later on day 3 that I won't say we'd feel more comfortable with taking, but that the numbers are telling us as far as their performance in past situations, which is really what this team is looking at with Joe Burrow at quarterback. Those are people we'd target more. Maybe there's a tackle that you want to kick inside that's falling down the board that you think would be that option there at 49. But for me personally, I think that's something you're looking at maybe starting in round 3 to get that impact. And you're kind of hoping that free agency is really where you solve that issue.
But you think in round 3 there could be a guy that could be there to plug and play or to compete for a job?
Yeah, I'll roll through this one. I actually think there are options even if you go into round 1, but you're going to be looking at tackle converts. And Ryan mentioned pressure rate is one thing we look at that's we've seen as the most predictive for NFL lineman success. And there's 2 potential tackle to guard converts in round 1. That's Kelvin Banks from Texas. He was a 3-year starter at left tackle for them. Former 5-star. Will Campbell as well, somebody who kind of gives Jonah Williams vibes. I mean, he was one of their better picks. He was. Those are 2 options.
He was better than people give him credit for.
If you're sitting in round 1 and those guys are on the board, I'd be very tempted to take them and let Scott Peters get the best 5 out on the field. Right. But I think with guards, you're probably, like Ryan said, you're moving into round 3, and Tate Ratledge is one from Georgia that could make a lot of sense. Put him next to Amarius Mims again. The one downside with him is he's 24 years old, but I'm not as worried about that this year. I think we saw a lot of success with some rookies last year that were a little bit older, and the Bengals need immediate impact. So he's one that comes to mind. And then we've come to learn that, hometown favorite Luke Condra. So we love his profile. Also apparently a big favorite in the Cincinnati community. So he could be a great pick there as well. But yeah, like Ryan said, I'm not looking at pure guards probably until 80.
Okay, all right. That's interesting to know because I I kind of went back and forth on that. The way that, and again, I'm not trying to not protect Joe, but I think we could get somebody like Zeitler or somebody, in free agency to potentially plug and play. And maybe you can find a guy in the later rounds to maybe be the other guard is kind of where I'm at. Not that we're going to kick the can down the road, but our defense is so bad. And somebody out here, somebody asked about getting there it is, a cornerback at first round, which I've heard. I don't look. I'll ask you guys this question, and we said it right. We said this is that our pass rush to me is the most important thing. Actually, sorry, Andrew said it. That the pass rush is the most important thing for this team, I think, because that was so lacking. If we address that, that'll help the secondary. And I'm not saying don't get a cornerback, but I can't see them with the draft line, the defensive line talent the way it is, passing one of those guys up for a cornerback, which if you get consistent pressure on the quarterback, it makes your secondary that much better. And our secondary talent is pretty good, despite what people think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at too. I don't know, Ryan, maybe you can disagree with me here, but the most exciting young talent I think on the Bengals defense is in the secondary. You have the three cornerbacks, and obviously they're not surefire things with injuries and ups and downs. But agreed that pass rush is going to help make them look better. I think if I'm looking at secondary players, I want somebody that can play a little bit of safety and corner as well. So Andrew Makuba from Texas is one guy we really like that could play kind of in between both of those roles. But doing it as high as 17, I don't know if there's any corner in this class that to this point we feel that good about. Right. Ryan, feel free to disagree with me there.
Well, except for Travis Hunter, and he plays both ways. Except for that guy.
Right, yeah. I don't see that.
He ain't gonna be there at 17.
No, but I'm in complete agreement with Andrew. I mean, taking a page out of the Eagles playbook as well, when you have that level of pass rush, call it a luxury pick, but you're in the position to take a player like a Cooper DeJean or a Quinyon Mitchell to sort of complement what you have going on with the defense already. But when you look at the amount of draft capital the team has already sunk into that secondary with 2 second-rounders and a first-rounder at corner, you have a third-rounder at safety, and all of these cats are still young, and they still have plenty of room to grow and improve. And it's not fair to ask them to cover for 6, 7, 8 seconds at a time.
Deion Sanders couldn't even do that. I said that all year.
Exactly. And I think that they have great talent. Obviously, they've definitely stumbled at points throughout their careers, but it's similar to Myles Murphy. These are guys that we need to get on the field. We need to see how they can play, and they can only be benefited by having a stronger pass rush. So don't get me wrong, Jahdae Barron's a great player at the University of Texas, but for where this team is at right now, they don't have the luxury of making that pick at 17.
Yeah, if they would have hit on Dax Hill and Myles Murphy, maybe, especially Myles Murphy, which I still am not out on Myles Murphy. I still think there's something there. I'm hoping they get it out of him this year. Robert here's got a question. Gridiron Grading. Thoughts on Landon Jackson or Jared Ivey?
I have some thoughts. Both of those guys I wouldn't touch just because we talked about it at the beginning. They need pass rushers, and Landon Jackson and Jared Ivey both aren't pass rushers.
Right.
So if I'm the Bengals front office, I'm not drafting somebody this year that can't rush the passer. We've seen what that looks like. That's one of our big takeaways from their last few defensive line picks. It's that and I know we're going to get to probably some takeaways from recent draft classes, but with Myles Murphy, McKinley Jackson, Chris Jenkins, you're drafting guys that didn't rush the passer well in college, and you're hoping they become that in the NFL. And more times than not, that doesn't happen unless you have an awesome coach to develop them. I think it's bad to bet on outliers. And so I think I'm using those two players more as a caution to picking players without that production profile. And so they both fall in that bucket. And for that reason, I wouldn't use any of the Bengals picks on them.
Ryan, you got any thoughts on that? Or
no, pretty much exactly what Andrew said. I mean, these guys have been playing football for almost all of their lives. And if they haven't shown it to you already, it's pretty unlikely that they're going to be able to take that jump against the best competition they've ever seen in their careers. So both are fine players, but for what the Bengals need and for what they've shown over their college careers, there just isn't that match there as far as pass rush production. So we'll happily let other teams take them and see what they can get out of those guys.
Now I'll roll to Pacific players, and the two that I keep hearing the most that the Bengals might be interested in, but the size might not be there, is Nolan. And you mentioned him early, Andrew, the kid out of Marshall. I can't remember his name.
Mike Green. Yeah,
Mike
he's one
Green.
that's come up. I don't expect him to be there at 17. James Pierce is one that I'm thinking is, from what we're hearing and kind of just seeing out there, and not to say we have sources, right? Just picking up the tea leaves of what's been going around in mock drafts. Looks like there might be something behind the scenes with him, that he's going to be that guy that's going to be sitting there at 17, and everything fits the high school profile, the college profile, big time school. He's 21. He's going to be coming out as a true junior. He has the pass rushing profile. He's going to blow the combine up. I feel pretty confidently about that. So he's one guy that, man, I hope they take that risk. And he's a really good player.
What's his size? How tall is he?
He's about 6'5", 240. But again,
that fits him because they don't like that fits him. They don't like shorter guys. And then refresh my memory, what school did he go to?
He went to Tennessee. So he was a part of that
yes.
weird defensive line. They rotated 8 or 9 of them.
Right.
Omar Norman Lott's another guy that we'll hear a lot about, that the big red flag is he didn't play a lot of snaps, and why. Tennessee runs a weird ship over there. So I think James Pierce, he is currently my favorite, at least, potential pick for them at 17, just because I think he's one of the best players in the draft, and hope they make that pick. I don't know, Ryan, if you have thoughts on Walter Nolan. I know Jeff brought him up.
Yeah, I think Walter Nolan's a great player, probably one of our favorite interior defensive linemen for this class. And we personally haven't heard of any size concerns. I think he's listed at 6'3", 305. So maybe you'd like him to add a bit of weight to help that anchor out a little bit. But one thing he has shown us is that he can get after the quarterback, and he's incredible at rushing the passer. So if you're looking for, I guess, those thresholds, the height is definitely there. Not to rag on McKinley Jackson even more, but he was drafted at 6'1" to be a nose tackle. So that's Geno Atkins size to play a role that maybe wasn't suited for a Geno Atkins type body. So I don't think there's anything to worry about with Walter Nolan from a size standpoint. He has a body of work that speaks for itself, and he, at least for us, sort of meets those size thresholds for the position. So I think he's a great player and definitely worthy of the pick at 17.
Now, is there any concerns of the reasoning why he transferred from Virginia to Marshall? I know that's kind of been brought up, but I haven't heard any reason why which, I mean, kids transfer all the time now. I don't know why it's being brought up for him, but I have heard it being brought up.
So is that what, I guess, Mike Green, the Marshall kid, Mike Green.
Yeah, sorry, Mike Green. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, not sure. Walter Nolan, I think he also had some transfer stuff. I think you hear a lot about that stuff, and that's, I think the intangible side is the hardest part for us to evaluate just from the outside looking in.
Right.
You never know why, and I think it's going to get even harder with all these kids having money now on the table to transfer around. Playing time, I would guess, was a big factor there.
Yeah, playing time was a big one for Mike Green. So he was a linebacker, I think an off-ball linebacker at Virginia, and despite them being one of, I guess, the lower Power 4 teams in the country, it's still a solid program. They have great talent there. And from what I understand, it wasn't just working out on the field there. And then when he transferred to Marshall and sort of became more of a pass rusher, that's what really allowed him to flourish on the field. So to me, it just seems like there was a mismatch between his proper position and what he was hoping to get out of the field.
Well, I know I watched some of the senior. I love watching the Senior Bowl practices more. I like watching the game, and he just pancaked. I don't remember what offensive lineman was. He just flat freaking destroyed him. I'm going, oh my God, I'm hoping he's there at 17.
And then he left the next day. He called it quits. He said,
"Yeah, he's like,
I showed you what I could."
Mic drop. I'm done. Yeah. See ya. Like, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Now, we did touch on O-line. Do you who, in your guys' opinion, who is the best in general O-line prospect in this draft?
Kelvin Banks for me. I don't know, Ryan, if you disagree. So he's got a pass blocking profile that's pretty similar to Amarius Mims last year, to the point where it's just he kept defenders away from the quarterback, particularly in true pass sets, which are, for those not familiar, those pass sets where there are no screens, no play action, which is exactly what the Bengals do. Joe Burrow likes operating without all the bells and whistles. He just wants to drop back and pass. And so we think, Kelvin Banks is that guy in this class. Again, really young, only 20 years old. We'll see how he tests athletically. Expecting him to be gone by 17, though.
Okay.
And then again, you're getting back to the tackle to guard convert thing, which we're going to be seeing with a lot of these guys this year.
Augie, we kind of touched on this, but Augie, so do you guys see us placing more on the D line over the O line this year as opposed to last year's or past years?
I think in the draft, the priority is still going to be on that defensive line, same as we saw last year. And that's pretty much just because the offensive line talent, when you get past that top 5, top 8 of the draft, just isn't as strong as a team like the Bengals would hope it would be. So that's definitely something I'm sure they'll prioritize in free agency. But just with the depth and the amount of talent we have at defensive line, be it on the interior or on the edge, I think we'll see at least 1, if not 2 picks from those position groups.
Now, do you guys, with this whole thing going on with Tee Higgins, I see a lot of people talking in the chat about trading T and all that, so which has been a big discussion here for 2 years now in Who Dey Nation here. But who are some? I do think the Bengals will draft a wide receiver. I think it's going to be later. Who are some underrated wide receivers that the guys could pick up in day 3, day 2? And do you think there's a wide receiver in the mix for the Bengals to draft?
Ryan and I were also talking about this earlier. I expect Tee Higgins to be back. I don't even want to enter that scenario right now.
Well, they said they're going to tag him, so I don't think he's going anywhere.
And especially with this wide receiver class, it's weak.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm getting skill players for Joe Burrow in this class, I want to dive into the running backs. I want to dive in to the tight end class. So that's where I would be using my skill player picks in this class. This is and we're shifting the conversation away from wide receivers a little bit, but this is the best running back class since 2017, which was the class with Dalvin.
This is going to be my next step. So yeah, we're good. We're good.
Right. So just flipping to the skill player side, that's where I would be using my picks. And then tight end, I would love to see them pick a tight end a little bit higher than they did last year. I don't know if we'll ever see Eric All playing football again, which is sad. Tanner McLaughlin, he's not a guy that they can put any faith in.
He never saw the field last year.
Right, which is he's going to be like 26 next year, which makes it tough. So I want to steer to the tight ends. I think there's a few. There's one that we love. We've been beating the doors down for 6 months at this point. Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green. He's the best tight end prospect we've evaluated since this process started for us. We think he can play some of that Eric All role, and he's a much better receiver. So I know we got a lot of flack on this, but he's going to have a first-round grade for us. He's not going to go in the first round because of size and placement concerns for him. But if he's there at 49, running to the podium to make that pick, he would be a phenomenal weapon in this offense. Definitely at 80, that's happening. So that's one guy that stands out for me that we think can play some of that slot wide receiver role too. He's a phenomenal receiver. He's had the best tight end production profile in the last 10 years. Ryan, I don't know if you have anybody else to add to that list there.
Yeah, just seeing what the Bengals have gotten out of their tight ends and how they use the position, it feels more of like a power slot, someone that's primarily a wide receiver, but can add a little bit to that blocking game. And if Harold Fannin isn't the pick that they make, I think Oronde Gadsden II out of Syracuse is someone that Andrew and I have really liked throughout this process as well. A really long body, someone that even played an entire season as almost a true slot receiver for that Syracuse offense, and then really had that connection with Kyle McCord last year for them. So he's definitely shown a willingness to block. I wouldn't say that's his forte, but it's something that he's happy to do and he can get in there. But he's someone that's also really strong on that receiving end. And if it's not Harold Fannin, like we said, he's a player that can be an instant impact in any receiving game as that third or fourth option.
Now I got a couple of names here in the chat. Let's see here. Jackson, hey, I can't say his last name. Hawes, thank you. Out of Georgia Tech. And Elijah Arroyo has to be considered. Who else we got here? What you guys' thoughts on those guys?
Arroyo is one guy I'd be interested in. So I think this offense is looking for a tight end one. I'll just bring it full circle.
They're going to have to. Unless
we've done a lot
of
work in what is required out of a tight end one in their college profiles. And one data point is yards per route run, which is essentially just yards divided by the routes they ran in college. That needs to be higher than 1.6 for a college tight end to become a tight end one. Luke Lachey does not meet that. Hawes is a blocking guy. Arroyo's interesting, but there's 8 in this class that we would kind of look to pick. I think Tyler Warren is one. If they can, I'd be interested in round 1. Colston Loveland is another one from Michigan. Be interested in. Ryan named Gadsden. Harold Fannin is one. Definitely we'd be interested in it. And then if we want to get to day 3, I'd love to talk about Jalen Conyers from Arizona State. That's a guy I'd be very interested in. Did well in his All-Star game. Expecting him probably to test pretty well. So if we're looking for a tight end 1, I think that's something to be aware of. And there's some guys that, like Mason Taylor, I just saw brought up here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't draft him either. The
No.
receiving production just wasn't there. I think high end is a tight end too. So I if they're taking a tight end in this class, I'd really like it to be one with a tight end 1 potential profile. So those names are where I'm at this point.
Divine thoughts here. What about Nebit?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's one of the last guys on the list.
Yeah, Bryson Nesbitt was
Nesbitt,
a player
thank you.
that
I struggle with names sometimes, guys. Sorry.
They're all new. They're all new to us.
That's okay. Yeah, so Bryson Nesbitt out of North Carolina is a player that really caught our attention last draft cycle, but he ended up returning to school to come back for this final year. I think it was a bit underwhelming compared to what we saw out of him the previous year, so that definitely hurt his stock a little bit. But I think he's in that next tier of tight ends where, like Andrew said, he sort of passes that yards per route run threshold, and he's someone that can be an impact player in the receiving game. But I think if the team is looking to draft a tight end to really be that tight end 1, he's maybe not that player for that role, but he's definitely someone that can be a contributor on an offense better than a Tanner McLaughlin from last year would have been.
All right, got another one here. I assume they're talking about tight end here. It says Travion Henderson will be deadly with Chase Brown, Chase T, Gesicki Brown, Henderson on the field. I'd say that would be scary. What's your thoughts on Travion Henderson?
Yeah, it's the running back from Ohio State.
Yeah.
We'd be interested in him in probably round 2. I'd be very curious. He's got a profile that looks like a running back 1 of the future, better prospect than Chase Brown. I think he'd be a great home run hitting element to add there. So that's one name. Yeah, for sure. I'd be interested at 49. We can throw Cam Scatabo from Arizona State into that list. I would love to add him to this offense. I think he's tons of fun. So yeah, those are 2 names that stand out if we're talking running back at 49, which we've seen them pull that trigger before. So would be curious there.
Divine thoughts wants to know if you're worried about his injury history. I'm assuming we talk about the same running back here.
On Travion Henderson? I don't know, Ryan, you have any thoughts on that?
No, I'm not overly familiar with his injury history, but I think when we saw him splitting carries this past year with Judkins, it was a really deadly duo, and that team ultimately won the national championship largely because of how those two ran the football. So I think if you were to pair him with a Chase Brown, especially with how strong of a pass protector Travion Henderson is, that's a great combo. You really do have a sort of a thunder and lightning between the two of them.
Now, what about the guy I fell in love with against Texas, Scattaboo? I love that dude. I mean, I don't know what he did in that because I saw him play versus Cincinnati here, and he didn't do a whole lot, but he kicked ass in that playoff game. What's your thoughts? I personally think he might be day 3 at the earliest. What do you guys think?
Yeah, he's going to have granted, he doesn't test like athletically like me and Ryan would. He's probably going to have a round 2 grade for us at least. Mm-hmm. He has a running back 1 profile. I was curious before we dove into some of the production data, what it would look like. And he's right up there with Ashton Genty. So if he's there at 49, I would be very curious, to be honest, if I'm the Bengals. I think he's an excellent player, a very good receiver, a hell of a runner as well. So I don't see how we could get to day 3 unless he just really bombs athletic testing. And yeah, obviously he caught a lot of fanfare during the playoffs when he
a little bit
put Arizona State on his back. Literally.
He literally did.
He would be a very fun pick and a very talented player with a profile that says he will be successful.
Yeah, I think he'd fit in really good with this offense too.
Yeah.
Stranger here. Tajay Brooks from Texas Tech in the 4th. What's your thoughts?
I wouldn't.
Nope.
He's got a ton of wear and tear. He's up towards 1,000 carries. And there are so many running backs in this class. There are probably 20 guys I'd take ahead of Taj Brooks if we're talking undrafted free agent, maybe.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a running back to just add to that stable and not really to be a complement to Chase Brown, I think, like Andrew said, if you're looking at that final pick that they have, or maybe as an undrafted free agent, that would be the place to go. But if you're looking for someone that's truly going to make an impact on this offense alongside Chase Brown, then yeah, that second round might be where you want to go. But otherwise, I think when you only have 6 picks in the draft, that's again like cornerback in that first round, maybe not a luxury that you want to take until you're giving someone a couple $100,000 as a free agent.
So what's your thought? Like, what's your guys' gut feeling? I know you said first round's probably defensive line. Second round, you think that's more offensive line, defensive line, and running back on down the line, if at all?
That's really tough. What I want them to do, I think they should take 2 defensive linemen.
I do too.
Again, it's back to the best player available thing.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they take that approach, but I think, an edge and an interior defensive line at 17 and 49. I think that would be awesome. Maybe throw in another lineman at 80. I think that makes sense. I think tight end has to be considered as well. I could see them pulling a pick on a Colston Loveland or Tyler Warren at 17 if that happens, and I wouldn't be too mad about it. But I really do think it's going to be a defensive line focus, those first 2 picks.
Now, is tight end still a priority if they re-sign Mike Gesicki? I still think it is, but you still think it's higher priority if they sign Mike Gesicki?
I think in the long term, it's still always going to be a priority because you'd like to have some stability at the position. The great thing about Joe Burrow is he's always getting his tight ends paid, whether that's Uzomah or Hayden Hurst. I don't think Gesicki is going to be a Bengal for life for the remainder of his career. But I think you hit it on the head perfectly, Jeff. If Gesicki does come back, it might be a bit difficult for fans to stomach a first or second round tight end unless it truly is a game breaker like Fannin would be, in our opinion. So maybe that pushes that need down the draft a little bit more to either round 3 or even day 3 at that point.
And we had the legend Drew Sample on our team. So, I mean, come on. We don't need this, right?
You love Drew Sample. I wish they would have picked him round 6.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Ryan Sparks here says I don't know who they is, are talking Marcus where round 6.
I think Ryan and I, we've gone back and forth on Twitter. Marcus Ware is a interior offensive lineman from Montana State.
Hey, I said his name right.
Yeah.
What did
I was actually thinking about that. I love him. He didn't get invited to the combine, though. So that means he's probably not going to go until day 3 at the earliest. He didn't allow a single sack his entire college career on true pass sets, which is very impressive, even at a small school. Yeah, I would love a guy like that. But I think offensive line is the position to us, the athletic testing means the most. So if these guys test very poorly, they're going to fall off our radar completely. It just matters so much. So it's so hard to say right now. Where was really good in college, but we'll see what the testing looks like for all of these guys.
How much was this? It always cracks me up how much it changed from Senior Bowl to the combine to pro days and then to the day of the draft. And they don't play any football. So they play a couple games, the Senior Bowl and the Shriner game. That's it. There's no football. It cracks me up how guys move up and drop. So, I mean, we're here in February. What is it? It's February 19th today. I mean, we still got almost 2 months until the draft. So things could change so much. Right now, who is shooting up the board right now in February? Is there one guy that's coming out of nowhere or starting to make a run? I know we haven't done the combine or anything like that. Probably going to be more with that and pro days. But is there anybody from Senior Bowl or stuff like that?
Yeah, I think one player we've already talked about was Mike Green. So when Andrew and I had done our analysis for edges earlier in the year, he was someone that immediately popped off the screen. And we were definitely not the first on him, but I'd like to think we were early on that train. And you start looking at mock drafts now, and he's going well before the Bengals even have a chance to take him. And Jeff, you even mentioned that incredible highlight against Josh Connerly, just putting him on his rear. So that's someone that is definitely a more popular name right now. So maybe there's someone that Andrew and I can look into that's shooting up the boards even more. That's a bit under the radar. But that's someone that even a couple weeks ago before the Senior Bowl took place was a realistic option for the Bengals at 17, or maybe even for some of those teams in the late 20s. But now it's consistently looking like he's going to be gone before 15 even comes around.
He reminds me of Sweat last year. I fell in love with that big boy in the Senior Bowl last year. I'm like, oh, my God, I'd love to get him. And They didn't, but I still like
Never had the chance.
Yeah, he was gone. He was gone
Yeah,
before they had a
long
chance.
gone.
So, let's see here. Caldwell. What about Samuel Mundane Jr.?
Mel Mondon. Yeah, we're
Mondon.
talking about linebackers from
Yeah,
Georgia.
because if the Bengals do cut Pratt, which they're talking about doing with the best for a trade, looks like he's not going to be here. You got Logan Wilson, maybe keep Davis Gaither. They signed him back, so linebacker is something they're going to have to address either in free agency or the draft.
Yeah, I think they're going to be using a pick there. Mondon is a guy we haven't looked at a ton yet. I think just as we think about linebackers in this class, we want guys who are going to make plays on the ball. I think that's something we saw with Logan Wilson in college, and I'd love to repeat that.
Oh, yeah.
There are a few names
A third-round
for
pick.
us. Yeah, right.
That's awesome.
That stand out. I think Jahad Campbell from Alabama. He had, I think it was 8 sacks this year, an incredible linebacker pick. Cody Simon from Ohio State. That's one that stands out. He's probably going to go late day 2, I would guess. Another guy he had 8 sacks at Ohio State last year. I think Jay Higgins from Iowa, Ryan, is another one that stands out. He had 4 interceptions last year. And then one that I just keep coming back to for the Bengals is Jack Kaiser from Notre Dame. He's going to be 25 as a rookie, but I mean, we watched our linebackers miss tackles all over the field last year, and he is one of the surest tacklers in the draft coming from an Al Golden defense. I could see him on the Bengals next year.
Ryan, any thoughts on that? Or?
Yeah, I love all the guys that Andrew mentioned. I think the biggest thing that we've seen recently is sort of this rise of the off-ball linebacker in the NFL again, and someone that can truly impact the game in all 3 phases. So I know we're not talking about a Micah Parsons-esque type player these days, at least for the Bengals, but that's someone who can drop back into coverage, can rush the passer, and is also stout in the run game. So I think you're looking for players that honestly can just cause havoc no matter what down it is. And I think my mind keeps going back to someone like Cody Simon that Andrew mentioned. Those 8 sacks are a really big thing for me, especially when this team has struggled to generate pass rush just from their 4 down linemen. If you really want to talk about the cream of the crop with those off-ball linebackers, I think you're looking at Jalen Walker out of the University of Georgia. But he's someone that the team would have to fall in love with and take at 17 because I don't think there's any way in this world he's going to be available at 49. So that one might be a pipe dream.
You're going to have to trust him to rush the passer too, Ryan. You're talking about more of a 3-4 guy there. I don't trust him to make the most of his talents.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a tricky situation as far as fit. Absolutely. I think Andrew hit that one right on the nose. But from a true talent perspective, I think he's a great player and is someone that might not be rushing the passer, but really can affect the other 2 phases of the game.
Awesome. This is awesome content from guys from Gridiron Grading. This portion of the show is brought to you by Priority Lawn and Landscaping. I know it's snowing out there, but, grass is going to grow here sometime soon. Make sure you give Priority Lawn and Landscaping a call at 513-430-6114. You can also follow them on Facebook. All right, let's get back into the conversation here. You guys are blowing the chat up. I know there was another. Now, I think they just like typing in names and try to get me to pronounce them. Princely.
They're checking the extension of our knowledge here.
Yes. Princely. I have no idea how the hell to say that at 49.
I'm going to guess Uman Milan, but I don't actually know either. There's a few of these guys every year.
I'll go with Uman Milan. That sounds good. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he played next to Walter Nolan at Ole Miss. He crosses, we'll call it the pass rushing threshold. Mm-hmm. Ole Miss did a lot of weird stuff on their defensive line that I think opened up potential pass rush wins. But, yeah, he meets the thresholds we would want to see rushing the passer. I think, sure, at number 49, if he tests well, yeah, I'd be all about that pick. I think it makes plenty of sense there. I do want to call out another name that might be more of a day 3 type of pick or, round 3 even. Okay. Josiah Stewart from Michigan is one of our favorites in this class. He's a bit smaller, about 6'1", but he had the best win rate on true pass sets of any defensive end or edge in this class. He's more of like a Nick Bonito size type of deal. And so I'd be excited by him if we're talking about pass rushers that maybe come from the edge but aren't going, top 50.
Ryan, got anything to add? Or?
No, pretty set on that. I know Tyler Barron was a name that was in the chat as well. He's someone that we're not overly fond of. He can definitely rush the passer to some degree. doesn't really offer much in the run game, in our opinion. So if you're drafting him as a depth player, that's lovely. But for what this team needs from a pass rushing perspective, just not someone that we're going to be overly excited about.
All right. What about my thoughts here has Darius Alexander and JJ Pegas? I think it is
JJ Pegas.
Pegas. There you go. Thank you.
Darius Alexander. Yeah, he's an older prospect. He feels like a Los Angeles Ram right off the bat. He's 24 years old, had incredible production at Toledo, did very well at the Senior Bowl. I wouldn't be opposed to a pick like that at 49. Don't really care if he's older because I think the Bengals need impact right away. And we saw what Jared Verse did last year, Braden Fisk. A little bit older, but if you're looking for a guy that can come in and play right away, yeah, I'd be a fan of that. Hopefully you test well.
There you go. I know we talked about one of these guys. I don't know if we talked about the other one here. Darius Alexander and Jack Kaiser. Oh, we got them on your boards. I know you mentioned Derek Alexander earlier, I thought.
We touched Jack Kaiser a little bit.
Did we? Okay.
He's probably going to end up.
We go through so many names. I forget.
Yeah, there are tons of names here.
Yeah.
Jack Kaiser. Yeah, he's probably. I wouldn't. Before testing, right? Mm-hmm. I think he looks like a round 6 or round 7 guy probably. So that's where I would be looking at. You're picking Jack Kaiser.
There you go. Let's see. One more here. David Walker, Central Arkansas.
Yeah, that's a great player. He can really get after the passer. He's strong in the pass rushing element of his game. I think the one thing you worry about is he's coming from a much smaller school at Central Arkansas, although Andrew and I do try to factor in that strength of competition as much as we can into this process. He's somebody that's really intriguing for us. And I don't know if I personally as a GM would necessarily want to make that pick just because there's a lot of unknown with that one. But he's someone that, and Andrew can correct me if I'm wrong, is definitely an intriguing guy. And I'd be curious to see how his career plays out.
Remember James Harrison? Remember
I remember that guy
from the Broncos?
I hated that guy, Andrew.
Well, we had him for a year and he did well. He was good. I think that's what you're looking at with David Walker. He's a little shorter, like 6'1", squatty edge, strong edge, really good against the run.
Can you lean like this?
Yeah, right?
That's a Harrison would do.
Yeah, for sure. Again, the Ryan said small school, but I think he went and proved himself at the Senior Bowl. You like to see that from these guys if they're coming from a small school. I would bet he goes round 3, though, just because Central Arkansas, smaller. Right. He isn't seeing like a Mike Green type of rise, but yeah, I'd be excited about any guy they take that tests mildly well and had really strong pass rushing production in college.
All right, we got 395 people watching this show. Appreciate all of you guys. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe, tweet this out. Gridiron Gang here. Tell everybody where they can find you. If you guys got a YouTube show before, we got time. We're gonna talk some more here, but got 397 people now watching. Tell the folks about yourself if I can get the freaking words out of my mouth.
Ryan, give us the plug. I'll turn it over to the resident Canadian here.
Hey.
I will do my best, but we are, at Gridiron Grading. You can find all of our work on Twitter for the time being, or I guess the platform's called X right now. One thing that we love doing is being able to share all of our content for free with everyone to really just have them follow along for the journey. So definitely have a Bengals focus. That's part of why we're here talking to you, Jeff, today. But we truly do have a love for all things draft. So if you're someone that has any interest in draft or Bengals content, pop over to X and find us at Gridiron Grading. And we'd love for you to tag along for this journey as we head into sort of the 5th cycle that we've been doing this.
So you guys do this is your 5th year of doing this now?
Yeah. And if people are curious, we posted all of our old boards and the entire prospect database. Our process changes every year as we learn more. But if you want to go back and look how we graded previous players, that's all up and available. It's on our X page.
Awesome. Well, I will definitely get you guys back on again. You guys don't have your own YouTube channel or anything, right? Do you?
No, our content's all on X.
Yeah. See, you just come on my show. We'll talk.
Shut it up.
Exactly. So where are you guys at in general on this draft? Actually, I know what I want to ask you. This has nothing to do with the Bengals, but the quarterbacks here. Cam Ward came out and said that, basically if you don't draft me, you guys are going to regret it. You got Sador Sanders. You got the kid out of Ole Miss.
Jackson Dart.
Yeah, Dart. Thank you. I think those are the 3 that popped at the top of my head as far as the three best prospects.
Sure.
Where are you at? If you're Tennessee, are you taking Ward or Shador? Are they worth the number one overall?
Man, poor Brian Callahan. I'm not. I give me Abdul Carter or Mason Graham. We'll figure it out the next year. I don't want to stake my reputation as a coach unless there's so much pressure. If I'm one of these NFL teams, to be honest, I am taking Jalen Milroe in round 2 or late round 1. I'm trading back up before pick 40, ideally. I would bet on the upside of Milroe. He gives me some Josh Allen vibes where, yeah, the consistency wasn't always there, but the high-end upside is there. He showed it in 2023. That would be the guy I would want to take a bet on if I am a head coach. I think Sanders probably super safe. I can't see him becoming more than a top 18 QB in the NFL, though. I don't know about you, Ryan, where you're at with them.
Yeah, they're not the kind of player that we've seen from years previous that I would feel comfortable taking 1 overall. I understand that if you're drafting that high, your team likely has a need at quarterback. But one thing the Titans brass has come out and said is that they're not willing to stake their entire reputation on one of those 2 guys, and that they're open to taking who they feel is the best player in the draft. So, like Andrew said, I think for Brian Callahan's sake, you have to give him a player that comes into the building. Yeah, comes into the building on day 1 with some incredible talent. And whether that's a Travis Hunter or an Abdul Carter or Mason Graham, as Andrew mentioned, that's the pick that I personally would make over one of those quarterbacks this year. And if you're Tennessee, again, picking at 33, that is the place where you can pick a Jalen Milroe. And one other quarterback name I'll throw out is Kyle McCord. I understand that he had his struggles during that last year at Ohio State, but what him and Fran Brown, the new head coach at Syracuse, put together in the ACC last year was pretty spectacular coming from that program. Definitely better than what we could have expected. And I think he's a highly accurate quarterback with a strong enough arm. So that's someone, too, that if you're looking for a mid to late round gem, he could be that guy in this year's class.
So get back to Brian Callahan and the Tennessee Titans. Are you guys out on Mayonnaise Boy, Melvin, or Levis? Melvin.
I'm out on him as a good NFL quarterback. We were always out on him. In on him as in getting them the number 1 pick again in
next
2026.
Year. God.
But yeah,
Callahan's going to get fired. Hey, Callahan gets fired. We'll take his dad back as the offensive line coach.
He seems like a cool guy, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
No one take that away from him.
No. It's just a bad. I personally, as a Bengals fan, I hope the quarterbacks go higher up so some of these other defensive guys can drop down to us is what I hope happens. So I'm hoping that these guys kill it in the combine. Now, what Cam Ward came out and said, that statement, basically, if you don't draft me, you're going to regret it for the rest of my career, blah, blah. How does that fit with you guys as far as grading guys? Is that just blowing smoke? You don't give 2 craps if he says it, or it's a bad look? What's your thoughts on that?
I think when you're that high level of an athlete, you have to sometimes create your own demons that sort of give you that energy to get you out there and competing each and every day. Andrew can correct me if I'm wrong. I think I heard somewhere down the grapevine that Tom Brady was a similar type of player. I understand earlier in his career being a 6th round pick, maybe that chip was on his shoulder. But even later when he had won 3, if not 4 Super Bowls, he still would always talk to himself and say that he had his doubters and that he wasn't the greatest of all time. And if that's the kind of thing that gets you energized to go out on the field and play your best level of football, I'm all for it. I'm very happy that he's a confident young man and that he's confident in his own abilities. I don't think that speaks anything to his character. So if he wants to chat that kind of talk, by all means, it keeps it interesting during this sort of quieter part of the cycle.
I'm just glad we got Joe Burrow, man. Jackpot is the man.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with that. Let's see here. Divine Thoughts here says David Walker equals Carl Lawson. What's your is that?
Carl Lawson was fun. We were talking about that earlier. Me and Ryan.
Carl Lawson can't. He just can't stay healthy. That's his problem.
Yeah. To your point on what has been Bengals draft successes in the past. David Walker fits. I think you're looking at high production guys. They were good in college. They translate to the NFL. Carl Lawson was one of the best picks in the last 10 years for the Bengals.
He was.
So that might be a lofty comparison for David Walker. but yeah, I mean, he fits in terms of he showed it in college. He showed what it looked like to be a good edge rusher.
All right, so I'm assuming have you guys done your first, second, third, 25th mock draft yet? Where are you guys at on your mock drafts right now?
We haven't done any yet.
You haven't done any yet?
No
Wow.
Ryan
shocked.
sends me them sometimes, but none that we've sat down and really thought about a ton.
So what? All right, because for me, as a Bengals fan, people do them all the time now, but I'm like, you really can't do it till after we get through free agency and see what they sign. That's kind of where I'm at. You can do mock drafts all you want till you're blue in the face, but they could go out and sign 2 offensive linemen or could go out and sign an edge, and it changes stuff. That's I don't know what you guys thoughts on when you guys will start doing a mock draft or get your big board out or whatever.
Yeah, so we're going to most likely be posting a mock draft this upcoming Monday just to kick off the season. But I think, Jeff, you said it perfectly. The best way to approach a mock draft is how a real NFL team should approach the offseason. We still have the period of free agency to get through, and you want to be in a draft situation where you don't have as many holes as you think you do, and you're not pigeonholing yourself into drafting for need. If for whatever reason the Bengals are able to break free from their recent contract history and go out and splash some cash on defensive linemen and interior offensive linemen, this team could be in a situation where you truly are at a best player available pick for number 17 and could kind of blow us all out of the water with that. We'll do mock drafts for fun, but if you really want to get that true GM experience, you're probably looking at mid-March, I'd say, when you want to start revving those engines up.
And especially, I mean, really, get through the free agency, get through the combine. Then you have, I think, after the combine, you have the most information of it's not going to change a whole lot. I mean, pro days will change some guys, but for the most part, you got about as much information as you're going to get. So that's kind of like, for me, that's once you're to that point, then you can go do them. But I mean, yeah, you go do mock drafts for free. I mean, Christopher says he's done 17 mock drafts.
I've never hate on fans who do mock drafts.
I don't hate them. That's fine.
Oh, there's so much fun.
For the draft.
No. I've done them. I just don't post them. Yeah,
like I can get 4 first-round prospects in one draft.
Right, exactly. I've done them. I just don't post them.
I love it.
So, as Bengals fans here, what you guys do? You believe that the Bengals are going to get Tee Higgins, Jamar Chase, transition? Do you believe they'll get them all signed? Why are you smiling, Andrew? Don't be laughing now. Don't burst my bubble.
We don't have any sources. People like Joe Goodberry and Jake Lisco and, a lot of people who are way more plugged in, James Rapine. I trust them, and they seem excited about the hope that they're going to get them all re-signed. And so for me, I'm excited about that. I think they speak truth. They speak honesty. They're not going to blow smoke if it's not
like
true,
the national media does, and they just say stupid shit all the time.
Yeah, 100%. They don't know. They can make it work. There are no other young players for them to sign. If they can't get these 3 signed, I don't know. I mean, missing the last 5 drafts on high-level talents has drafts, whatever you want to call it, expanding salary caps. They have to get that done. You can't be an NFL franchise without getting that done.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, because people ask me like, well, you think they're actually going to tag T? I said, well, they might. I mean, the point, and I said this, I said this 2 weeks ago, a month ago. I don't remember when I said it, but I said I can see the Bengals tagging T, and I didn't think they would tell us. I said they would talk to his agent and say, hey, we want to tag you, but we want to sign you. The tag is to intent to sign you to a long-term contract extension is what I thought was most likely to happen, because I don't think they talked to David Mulligetta last year. I don't think they had a relationship with him. That's the reason when Jesse Bates is gone. For some reason, that dude and the Bengals, they don't connect. So when money, lots of money. So that's where I think the negotiations actually really started at the end of the year. So I mean, where he's at, where he kind of wants to be. So it shouldn't be that hard. But like you said, comes down to money, guaranteed money, signing bonus, all that stuff. They got to work out. We'll see what happens. Let's see here. Well, I thought Swift had another one. No, I think that's it. I already said Walker. All right. Well, anyway, talk about the salary cap. Yeah,
it's going up.
Yeah, it's going up. So that's good. That's definitely going to help.
If they account for it, it will help.
Yeah, we'll see. Hey, the Bengals have changed an awful lot. Like, dude,
They have since we
like,
started.
I'm old. I'll be 50 in April, so I remember the first Super Bowl. I remember the second one. Damn sure remember the last one. And I lived through the whole 90s. They have changed a lot. They just need to change this last little. Like I keep saying, it's like Elizabeth and Caroline are pushing Grandpa Brown. Come on, keep going. A little farther. Come on, just a little bit, not pushing him over the edge. Just a little farther. And then, this is what an NFL franchise actually does. Anyway, guys, I appreciate it. You guys been on for an hour and 15 minutes. Again, plug some stuff. Tell everybody where to find you, Adam. Definitely getting you back on again this year for the draft. We'll be there next couple weeks. I'll reach out to you and we'll get you back on.
Yeah, let's do it. Thanks for having us on, Jeff. It's always fun talking Bengals draft. I think last year was a pretty good class. Excited to rebuild on that. You can find our work again at Gridiron Grading on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. We have all of our old boards posted on our website, on our page. If you want to go take a look at our old grades, see kind of where we've hit, where we've missed, what the process kind of looks like. All of that information is there. We'll be tweeting a bunch over the next few months. Next up for us is evaluating safeties and cornerbacks. So you'll see some work coming out there. Those are our least favorite positions to evaluate, so it sometimes takes some time. But there will be good players on the board, on the defensive line at 17 in a few months.
Well, I'll make sure we'll put a pin in this because I do want to talk about the safeties here for the Bengals because the Bengals do with Geno Stone and Battle and Bell and all that stuff. Ryan, got anything you want to add before we end this thing here?
Yeah, nothing too crazy, but just to echo what Andrew said, lots of content coming down the pipeline. We're finishing up all of our production metrics, and that's only the beginning of this process. So if you guys want to stick along with us for the entire 3 months remaining of draft season, it's at Gridiron Grading on X. And yeah, we'd love to have everyone join along and see the kind of work that we put out there. But Jeff, thank you again so much for having us on, and we really appreciate you letting us spend some time with you.
Hey, no problem, dude. I enjoyed the info. Like I said, I love the draft. I don't have time to do the crap you guys do. That's why I like talking to you guys. So I get a little more information too. Ryan, make sure you bundle up down up there in the north. Andrew, watch out for the non-drivers that aren't on your road in Tennessee.
That's tough. Ryan, build us a snowman and post it on the account.
I'll try my best. Yeah, we'll get away from the draft content and we'll just be snow content from here on out.
And you got to sing. Do you want to build a snowman?
I'd pay.
That's all for Andrew. He's a great singer.
Maybe next show.
There you go. All right, guys. Appreciate you. Take it easy.
Oh.
See ya.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Go follow Gridiron Grading. Ryan and Andrew are awesome. They do a great job, and it's all for free. Follow them on X, and they got all their boards up there, old boards, new boards, all that stuff. I will be getting that back on here in the next couple weeks. We get closer to the combine and things like that. But thanks for watching. I've been live streaming on ZTV, YouTube, Facebook, X, and also I'll be pulling this out later on tonight. Put it on the podcast. It's on BeanPod, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Do me a favor. Leave a comment because I put it back out on the podcast. I started doing that again. Leave a comment. A 5-star review. All it does is help with the algorithm and get the podcast out there more because there are some people that don't have time to sit here and watch us for an hour and 3 minutes. And you want to listen to it, or we want to have so much information. You want to go back and instead of watching, you want to listen to it. Sometimes you hear, I hear better than I see, which is kind of what I do. So check it out. Like I said, it's on the podcast. I'm also live streaming on Twitch if I didn't say that. So you follow me on all those, along with Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. And shout out to my sponsors of the show. As always, they are Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Like I said, I know it's snowing. You can get them to remove some snow for you. But in another month, the grass will be growing. Flowers will be blooming. Birds will be chirping. Baseball's in the air. Do you want your lawn to look like a baseball field? I kind of do. Do you want your flower beds cleaned out? You got a landscaping project you want to get done. Paper patio, retaining wall, plant some trees. I don't know. Whatever your heart desires with your lawn and landscaping needs. Get Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Call at 513-430-6114. Again, that's 513-430-6114. You can also follow them on Facebook. Also, shout out to T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And my West Side peeps, get on over to Hail Mary's. They got big-ass TV screen, food trucks, beer specials, free parking. It's an awesome, awesome bar right in the heart of Cheviot. Again, that's Hail Mary's, your ticket to the game. Also, shows brought to you by Meyer Windows and Doors. Check them out at www.meyercincinnati.com for all your window and door needs. Like I always say, I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. They're energy efficient, great looking windows, and easy to clean. That's Meyer Windows and Doors. All right, guys. As always, I appreciate the comments. Appreciate the views. 446 people watching right now. That is unbelievable. Tomorrow, I will have on, who do I have on tomorrow? Oh, yeah, I got the Fireman. I got Mon. He's from the Bengals Pulse podcast. He's an awesome guy. He'll be on tomorrow. We'll be talking some more Bengals. Then we'll talk some Reds. But, hey, we will get the more Reds here when there's stuff to talk about. Spring training game, the first spring training game is this Saturday. Split squad. So there's going to be two of them. It's going to be a split squad game. I think it'll be on the radio here locally at 15:30. I don't know if it's on TV or not. I would love to find it. Anyway, baseball's in the air. The Reds, I'll say this real quick about the Reds. To me, this is a year that something's got to happen. And I don't know if it's going to or not. I mean, I'm not saying it will or won't. It goes back to what, I hate giving Joe credit, but what Joe says a lot. He said there's a lot of hope, which means there's a lot of ifs. If this guy does good, we'll be good. If this guy pitches great, we'll have a good year. If. There's a lot of ifs. If all that works out, yeah, we can have a really good year. If it doesn't again, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Augie, 2025 NL Central Chefs. Hey, I like where your head's at there, Augie. I hope you're right. We'll see what happens. But it's be interesting. Hopefully they at least keep our attention until about August when football starts. Draft's coming soon. Oh, yeah. Speaking of the draft, don't want to forget to put this out there. I am doing a draft party or hosting a draft party at MLT's the very first night of the draft. I'll be there doing the podcast along with some Bengals trivia. Hopefully I'll have some former, maybe current Bengals there. Hopefully me and the boys will be there. I'm pretty sure Joe Farson's going to be there. Neil might be there. He might have to cover the Bearcats then. It'll be April. He should have to cover. He should be able to be there. Hopefully Harrison will show up. He's got an AWOL. Here, we'll see what Harrison. If you guys have not followed Harrison on Instagram, you got to go follow Harrison the community. He's a funny dude. But again, we'll be at MLT's for the first night of the draft. And then the second night of the draft, go on over to the Fulling Warehouse. Project Game Day will be having their second annual draft party there. I know they got tickets are on sale. You can Venmo them. I don't know where the Venmo is because I've been trying to get tickets and I can't. I'm old. I can't figure out how to use Venmo. I just need to call them and say, here's cash. I want to go. But make sure you guys check that out. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'll also be doing a live show at the Moorline Lager House, in front of the Moorline Lager House on Reds opening day. So those are my two live shows coming up. Please make sure you show up and support the show and support both restaurants. That would be awesome. Other than that, I'll see you guys tomorrow live at 5:30. Say it with me, people. That's just sports, baby. See ya!
Weekday nights, the city roars. Tune in loud, turn up some more. Cincinnati show, it's time to play. Sports with strawberry ice today. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ices on the mic, energy, it's good delight. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Feel the crowd, it's electric now. Shouting loud, they all know how. CTV got what we crave. Sports with ice, it's waves and waves. Tigers striking, Bengals some more. Tune in and feel the thrill. Strawberry ice, he's giving chills. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. TTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic. Energy, it's good delight.